This wild week has potential to continue to be just as wild with a couple of the big, super big, magnificent seven stocks reporting today, and then the PCE tomorrow, gross domestic product today. I mean, it just goes on and on. So hold on to your hats. We may not be done with the craziness. So if you consider yourself to be a long-term holder, not a trader, you're going to be in it. You're going to be in Tesla for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And so that would be long enough. 2 years should be plenty long. And that's you. Then here are the things that you should be paying attention to in order. These are the things that are going to make a decision whether you are a jillionaire or only a billionaire or just a millionaire, based on your current investment and the investments you might make in the next year or two. So number one, it's not close. It's the number one. It is clearly what you should be paying attention to. And by the way, on this channel, when we talk about this subject, usually it's going to get the most views. At some point, probably by the middle of 2026, the value of Optimus will be substantially larger than all of the other businesses of Tesla. This is the very big bet. But from where I sit, it's not a bet at all. It's a done deal. I don't think that there's any chance. Do you think, let me know in the comments, do you think there's any chance in the world that we do not have humanoid robots working in factories in substantial numbers and making lots and lots of money for Tesla by 2026? Elon says they'll be working in factories in the next few months. He says that they'll be on sale or on for lease or whatever it's going to be by the end of next year. We have 26 other companies at least now that are saying exactly the same thing, that they're going to be there. They're going to be doing it. I don't think there's 26 really smart folks out there showing us examples, and it's not going to take place. I think the the robot revolution is coming. Tesla will be a member of that group. I believe they will be way out ahead, tremendously far ahead in terms of their ability to produce low-cost robots that do more than the other bots that are out there. That's going to make it a huge win, and it'll be trillions of dollars of value. All right, so number two, you might not be shocked, may not be surprised. The cyber cab and robotaxi network will be number two. That's where you should be putting your attention. Elon has said for years that the rest of the company, prior to Optimus, the rest of it was a nothing burger. He didn't use that word, but that's what he meant compared to robotaxi. And while I consider the driverless car to be just shy of a 100% certainty in the next 12 months, I think there's a very high likelihood that this one is going to come to fruition. And as Kathy Wood, and actually pretty much even, I think you could get some of the worst bears to admit that if we have a fully driverless car that can pass the regulators, whatever that means, if we have a driverless car, basically it's safer than a human driver by a lot, that it's worth trillions of dollars. It's not going to be close. It's not going to be the rest of the company becomes a very small part of what we're doing here. But that doesn't mean it's small. Energy storage should be the third most important thing you're looking at before autos. Yes. So Elon has said over and over again that this division will go faster and eventually provide more profits than the auto division. Now, that doesn't mean counting robotaxi. It means the automobile sales themselves. And this is becoming more evident by the day. I mean, if you're paying attention to this channel, and I just did some more research on this morning, research on it this morning, battery storage will be the second most important way that we electrify the world. And the world is going to become so much more electrified in the next 10 years than it is today that we don't even know where we're going to get all the resources to do it. But battery storage after solar will be the most important. And it looks like Elon has lined up the resources for Tesla to be by far the leader in this category as well. I've estimated, and others have estimated, that by the turn of the decade, we'll be looking at 300 billion in sales and 25% margins. Number four, auto. Now, the dominance of the auto division might seem less certain. You might look at BYD. You might look at all these other Chinese makers. You might look at South Korea. You might even look at Toyota turning it around someday and you say, well, oh, you might look at all the hybrids and say, well, maybe it'll be the hybrids. No, it's going to be electric cars because why? Not because it's a smarter product, because they will be less expensive for what you get. This is what people keep missing. It's going to be at every level, whether you're looking at a $20,000 car or a 30 or a 40 or a 50 or a Cybertruck or a semi truck, at every level, the electric vehicle will be less expensive than any other, than an ICE vehicle or a hybrid vehicle. They just will. There'll be less parts and less weight and less everything, and they will provide you with more benefit by comparison by a lot. So this is not an unknown. This is a known, and it's just a matter of another couple of years. Well, not even maybe even a year, and this will be just evident across the board. Now, you add in the ability to drive the car without a driver. I mean, to have it be basically a chauffeured car, and the game is over. Tesla will get their 20 million units a year. That's combining the cars that'll be sold to consumers that still desire to own a car. Combine that with the cyber cabs, you'll get your 20 million a year. Then there's Dojo. We don't even know what it means. We really don't. All we know is that you now own stock in the company in the United States, in addition to Robotaxi and Cybertrucks and all the rest of the things that we're talking about here. In addition to all of that, now owns the second most compute of any company in the world. Yeah. Meta might be number one at this point. I think we're number two. We know we're number two, according to Elon. Yeah. So we don't know what that means. But it could be a big number. It could be a bigger number than some of the others we just talked about. But it's probably going to be number 5 in the things that you want to take careful notice of what's happening. Frederick Lambert, Fred, good old Fred. I'm not a big fan. He's really wishy-washy and he's sometimes very, very wrong. But I just think that this was his post yesterday on X was worth listening to. If you've been following my pieces, you know that I haven't been the biggest fan of FSD, but I've been impressed with version 12 so far. I'm willing to admit that things could start to move in the right direction quickly, making it interesting. Tesla now has the AI training capacity to compete with the biggest AI players and is growing fast. The automaker is taking a similar approach as it did with battery cells, buying everything you can get your hands on from suppliers and building your own. For batteries, that means buying from Panasonic, LG, CATL, and then building 4680 itself. For AI training compute, it means buying servers from NVIDIA and also building Dojo. It worked for batteries, could work for AI training also. I think Tesla deserves a meaningful credibility bump in the self-driving space with V12. Honestly, if I see decent improvements over the next few updates, I might become a true believer. I had FSD beta on my car for the better part of 2 years and saw very few improvements. Version 12 alone felt like a 20 to 30% overall improvement, and I'm now way more confident when using FSD. I still see some significant issues, but they seem to be much more fixable. As I said in the past, though, with any praise of FSD, there should come a clear message that it's important to remain extremely vigilant when using your FSD. Anyway, at the risk of repeating myself for 1,000th time, Tesla should release FSD disengagement data. Yeah, I think that's cool. This is from Cern Basher this morning. He says, exclusive speculation. The name of Tesla's robo network will be called Auto, as in autonomous automobile. As in Elon said, putting the auto back in automobile. He's crediting this to Herbert Ong. And if he's right, he's a genius. If he's wrong, you'll never remember this speculation. And then he asks of Elon Musk, did Herbert get it right? And he says automobile was originally a French word formed from the Greek auto, ourself, and the French mobile, moving. By the way, I like Herbert. I think he's a really, really smart guy. The minute that Elon put out that first post where he used the word auto and put quotations around it and the whole thing. If you were watching this channel, you know that the minute that came out, I said, oh, maybe the Gen 3 vehicle is going to be called Auto. Maybe it will be the autonomous network. I don't think it'll be the autonomous network. I think it might be the Gen 3 vehicle. Anyway, okay. This from Cat. He says, when I estimate that what Tesla earned from all of these IRA credits in Q1 24, here's what I get. Battery production credits, 40.5 million for energy storage battery pack assembly, and 179.4 million for vehicle battery production assembly, and 220 million, which is about what Zach guided for us in June 2023, between 150 to 250 million per quarter. So a total of 220 million. Point of sale credits, 510 million for Model Y, 24 million for Model X, and 534 million total. By the way, these don't hit the bottom line. So I'm a little confused as to why he's bringing that up as bottom line. Yes, it lowers the cost, but it's not a bottom line item. Anyway, total of 754 million, about 24% of Tesla's combined overall automotive and energy gross profit. So in other words, I'm even wondering why I brought this up. No, I'm kidding. I think it's extremely important. I think it's definitely impacting. And one of his points is what happens if Trump's elected and he decides to eliminate it or make it smaller? I could care less. Elon says he could care less. Everybody will be playing by the same rules, and Tesla's advantage might be huge right now, and they're making the most off of it, but it's not a long-term issue as far as I'm concerned. This is Randy Kirk, by the way. I want to let you know that just in case you forgot. Please hit intro. Intro. Don't hit intro. Hit the like button, then hit subscribe, then hit notify, because of course Cern Basher, I've already seen a couple of his slides for today. It's gonna be phenomenal. So make sure you're tuned in for Cern later today. And I believe I will be having Bradford Ferguson on later tonight. I'll be in an airport someplace, but I think we're going to be able to work it out. I have a theory of how I might even be able to get Larry on today, or well, he won't be on today, but to at least get a recording as I'm flying around from here to Philadelphia. All right, so copper prices. We've been talking about this for a long time. I finally figured it out. Well, I didn't figure it out. I started talking about it how long ago? Maybe 2, 3 weeks ago. I said, there's something going on here with copper. It's different than the rest. It may not be the canary in the coal mine this time. It might be specific to what's going on with electrification and with all these data centers. So here is what we get from Market Watch this morning. Copper prices have been outperforming both gold and silver so far this year as traders bet on a growing long-term needs for the industrial metal in artificial intelligence and electric vehicles. And it goes beyond that, by the way. There's more to the story. They don't say it in the headline, but I'll tell you there's more to the story. The copper market has reached an Isaac Newton moment where the apple has fallen onto the heads of the global community traders and the end users, and they're just now waking up to the reality of enhanced future demand, said John Caruso, senior marketing strategist at RJO Futures. Copper has seen even larger year-to-date percentage gains than gold and silver. Wherever there is an economic development, particularly from lower income countries becoming more modernized, there is significant growth in copper consumption. Oh, there's the third leg on the stool. You've got all these countries around the world that are going to go straight to electrification. They're in coal now, they're in dung, they're in charcoal now, they're in all these modes. They're not even in oil and gas mode yet. And a lot of them are going to skip straight to electrification because it's so inexpensive, so quick to install, and the ongoing cost per unit is so much lower per kilowatt. So yeah, this is going to be massive. There's going to be a huge demand for copper. Goes on to say, data released from the International Copper Study Group, released in late March. How come I didn't find this, in late March? Suggests that apparent world refined copper usage grew 6% in January. I guess that's over last year, with apparent Chinese demand up by 12%. Because why? Because they are building solar and battery as fast as they can. Estimated the rest of the world was declining. I think if they look to the US, it's probably increasing. World refined copper production increased by about 5%. China has pressed the invest button lately, but it's not in property buildup, but rather in manufacturing. There's a massive shift going on in China's economy, reducing its reliance on property. As we see in the Chinese onshore inventory data, China's stocking up on whatever copper it can find to feed this upcoming manufacturing and green demand infrastructure boom. And they're also stocking up on gold. A global surplus in copper fell to about 84,000 metric tons from 109 in January of 2023. Copper supply is crimped from a lack of new mine projects coming online. Where have we heard that before? Despite some new projects and expansions, we expect the overall growth in mine supply to be limited, falling short of meeting demand and driving up prices until it bounces. This is not investment advice, but it's something to pay attention to if you're a Tesla investor. Elon is lining up his copper supplies as well. You know he's doing it. For EVs in particular, he pointed out in 2023, the global penetration rate was only 12% of all passenger vehicles sold, which is quite a lot, but they're expecting it to go much bigger, of course. And an electric car uses 180 to 190 pounds of copper in each battery. That's more than 3.5 times the amount used in a ICE vehicle. The AI sector, meanwhile, is wildly data intensive. The AI sector, meanwhile, is wildly data intensive. Oh, the AI sector, okay. That includes rapid data center capacity growth globally, with those data centers ravenously consuming power. That is all going to require copper, not just in the data center itself, but also in the grid, backup generators, backup energy storage, etc. All right, where's the pre-market right now with all that exciting news? Let's take a look at where things are now. Tesla is up another. Well, let's double check this. Oh, Tesla's down slightly in the pre-market. Remember now, it's only 7:03 in the East as I'm doing this. So down 20 cents. It has been up 30 and 40. Now it's down 20 cents. So basically it's flat as we're going into this morning. Thus far, we have got Comcast beating earnings estimates. That's the breaking news. We have got the so let's start with the bonds as always. Let's go to the bonds. Okay, the bonds are down 0.8% of a basis point this morning at 4.646, still extremely high. And we've got the 2-year down about 1.2 basis points, the 2-month up 0.7 of a basis point. So the bonds staying quite high into the PCE reports on Friday. Okay, let's go back and look at oil. Let's see. Oil is sitting at up 11 cents, basically unchanged. Same thing for Brent. When I say oil, I'm always talking Texas Intermediate. Natural gas is up 0.54% again this morning, but still sitting in that range, about $1.66. We have got gold little changed, very little changed. The $1.70 sitting about 100 points under its all-time high. Silver up 0.22% this morning. Copper up 1.44%. Maybe people are reading that article at 4.52. Again, 4.75, the all-time high. And all the rest of the metals I mean, those three metals are going up, up, up. The rest of metals are normal. We have got the dollar. The yen is struggling at the 155 level, and people are now thinking that there might be intervention, but the dollar is extremely strong and not changed that much. We have got the Bitcoin down 721 after being down yesterday, so sitting at 63. So it's also about 10,000 off of its all-time high. And in the equities, we've got the Dow down 236 or 0.61. We've got the S&P down 34 or 0.67, and the NASDAQ futures down 181 or 1 full percentage point. So with the equities heading down again today, not sure, 100% why, but I've been saying I think we need that 10%, that 10% breather. That doesn't mean I think they could go higher after the 10% breather, assuming that these earnings reports come in and the expectations for future quarters come in, okay. Good would be better than okay. And then I think the market goes up further at this point. All right. And so those are the things we want to look at this morning. Last night's visit with Jeff Lutz. Yes, it already got 7,000 views or something, but maybe you missed it if you did. That was a really, really good one. I think maybe one of our best. We had a big debate about what is this Gen 3 car or this Gen 2.5 car, whatever you want to call it. What is it really going to look like? Okay. We got some pretty good ideas of what might be in the car in terms of the battery, in terms of the 48 volt, etc. But what is it going to look like? Is it going to just be some kind of a dumbed down Model 3 and Model Y? Or is it going to be a completely different shell and a completely shortened skate? One of us has one opinion, one has the other. If you haven't already seen it, go back and check that out. I'll put the card right here. And of course, Scott Walter and I had a great conversation yesterday. He thought it was one of his best ever. I'm not going to put a card up because it's better if you only put one card up, but you can go find that one. It's easy enough to go on the channel and find what we talked about yesterday. Okay, that's where we're sitting right now. See you a couple more times today as I'm flying across the country. It's been great talking to you.